Hey, this is Chris Ferdinandi from GoMakeThings.com, and this is part 3 of our Show and Hide widget project for ditching jQuery, a beginner's guide to vanilla JavaScript. So far we have our working expand and collapse widget, and we have this set up too, so that if you were to navigate through with keyboard, you can easily do that. It's got some great accessibility features. JavaScript's not supported. People can still access your content. What we want to do next is we want to set this up to work like a true accordion, or at least provide the option to do so, so that if I have one area of content open and I click another, that first area is going to close. There's actually a pretty straightforward way to do this. So let's go ahead and switch up the markup just a bit, because it's kind of in a weird structure right now. So it probably makes more sense in this example to have the toggle show up before the content, because this is less of a like read more, read less kind of thing, and more like an FAQ. For example, so more like that, like a traditional accordion style. So what we're going to do here is we're going to group content together by putting it in a parent div. So in this case, let's take all of this content, and I'm going to cut it and paste it in here. And let's do this, right? So we're going to call it, we'll give it a class of, let's say, hide me group. Okay, now everything basically continues to look and work the same. But we're going to make some changes to our script. So what we want to do here is when an event is clicked, you can see we're toggling that active class, and then we're setting it. We're giving it focus. We want to do one more thing. We want to so what we want to do here is we want to grab, or we want to see if this is part of a group, and if it is, we're going to loop through and hide all of the other content areas except this one. So let's do that now. So we're going to set a variable of group. And for this, we're going to use that get closest method again. So we are, with the content area this time, going to look for the hide me group class. If it's part of a group, and here, let's give this a little label. If content is part of a group, close all other content areas. Okay, so if it's part of a group, we are going to get, let's see, how do we want to call this? Because we already set content as a variable. So let's go group contents. And so you remember document query selector all we can use to grab all of the content, all matching elements on a page. It doesn't have to be limited just to documents. So you can search within any content or any element on a page here, not just documents. So I'm going to set this to group. We're going to only look within that group, and we're going to find all of the matching hide me areas within that group. Sorry, I set that up as a function for some reason, wasn't supposed to. Then we are going to loop through each of these content areas. So let's go group contents length plus. So here we have a simple loop. And now we are going to loop through the group contents area, class list, remove active. So this will remove the active class from all of the areas in the content group, but we don't actually want to do that because that'll also remove it from the area we just activated or deactivated. So we probably want to add another check here. So let's go. What are we going to do here? So if, oh, and you know what? I did this wrong too. This should be an I. Okay. So if, and what this is doing, by the way, for those of you who are unfamiliar. So I'm setting up this counter variable and I'm setting it to 0. And I'm saying as long as this number is smaller than the number of objects in group contents or nodes, then we're going to carry on with this loop. As soon as that's no longer true, this loop stops working. Every time we go through this loop, we're going to add 1 to this counter variable. And then as this number increases, we can use it to grab items from this get closest node list over here. So I'm grabbing the first item, then the second, then the third. It's just matching kind of the count against the items in the list. So we are going to check and see if that item has an ID that is equal to the content ID that we just activated. We're going to continue. And now continue means you skip the rest of the stuff in this iteration of the loop and you jump to the next one. So we're not going to do anything if the content area and the group content that we're looping through match. But assuming that's not the case, we're going to go ahead and remove that active class. So here we go. I'm going to open this up. And now if I click on this one, you can see it closed the other one, just like that. And now if I click on it again, it'll still close, which is great, but it's going to only open one at a time. Now the cool thing about this is it only applies to items in this group. So if I were to pull a couple of these out just for fun, now I can keep both of these open, and that's fine. But then if I click the other one in here, you can see it's only affecting the ones in the accordion. And because of the way we set this up with the wrapper here, so if we go class equals hide me group, do that again. We can drop these in. We now have 2 distinct accordion groups. So this allows you to be really flexible with how you set stuff up. You don't need to add specific IDs to things to make this sort of thing work. One tiny little bit of code is going to work. It's going to work pretty much everywhere. So that's how you transform this from just kind of a one-off to an accordion. And the great thing is you can use it not as an accordion too. So you have the option of obviously of continuing to have some standalone ones too, and those will work as well. The last thing we need to check is how this works with the tabbed navigation. So let's say we have this content open here. I'm going to tab back. The link coming into focus opens this content area, but you can see the other area stays open too, which is not exactly desirable. So what we're going to do, just one last thing, is where we have this section right here, we are going to want to replicate this in our event listener over here. So if I copy paste that in and reload the page, we should see it work as desired. Now the problem with doing this is we're now kind of writing the same code twice, which violates the dry principles of writing code where you don't want to repeat yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to put it in a function that we can run in both of those event listeners. So in this case, I am going to, let's rename this, or let's call this function close content groups. And let's paste in our code here. Let's give it a name or a little description there. Okay, oh, I'm missing a semicolon. So the one thing we're going to need to do is pass in this content variable so that it'll work. And let us try this now. So close let's see, if accordion close other content areas. So we can just go like this and go like that. Reload. There you go. And now you can see that it works, and we only have to write that code once, and then we can just reference it as a function later. So that's it for this section. The only section we have left is we're going to update our code just a little bit so that the click me links can display different text depending on whether the content area is open or closed.